Today's higher level German paper was very well received among students, accessible to all at different levels and challenging in parts. Students found the first comprehension very interesting to deal with. It was in the present tense, which made it easy for students to understand, but the German questions would have been challenging to the average to weaker student in that they had to put present tense into imperfect, which would have been a challenging task in itself. Overall, a very fair paper. It gave students the scope to achieve the grade hopefully they're going for, and I have to say I'd be very happy with question 4. It was very specific. The style question on the overall comprehension gave every student a good direction on it, so I was happy with that. Grammar was, while challenging in parts, was very clear, easy to understand, and students were happy with it. Very similar to previous years, and there was scope there for every level. Labelling tenses and putting prepositions into different meanings in a paragraph, so that was fair and no complaints there absolutely at all. The second comprehension, which was the journalistic comprehension, was great. It was on language learning in German, and it reflected the life of an interpreter working in Strasbourg in the European Parliament, and students should be very, very happy with that because German is a topic for the oral general questions, and it was also reflected in the picture sequence Deutsch Lernen. So happy days for everyone across the board. Challenging in parts vocabulary wise, some of the questions did not specify how much detail, which is normal, so that was overall for all students very decent, but again students have to be careful that they answered and read the question carefully. Written again reflected across the board topics that students would not have learned specifically but would have been reflected in their oral themes. So I think, and also the questions that they asked were very topical. The themes that came up students would be very happy with. So it ranged from energy strategies for the future, how to save it, to project work, teamwork. So students would have covered that in their oral material as well in some aspects. And the letter reflected very topics like role of women and men, typical professions, and it also talked in areas like taste the waste of food wastage, and there was a lot there on Irish learning as a language, which was brilliant, again reflecting the German learning. Students also had digital technology and smartphones and sanctions that they had to pay on that. There was also a lot about what's the typical family of today, all current events that students would have covered throughout the year. And again, I was very, very happy with the fact that they gave something there for everybody. The most important thing, that paper was very time consuming, so students would have to watch their time, which is always a problem in German, but more importantly that they stuck very close to answering the question they were asked. So overall a very well received paper, very accessible, very well laid out, and delighted to see that, as German is a subject that students are finding far more accessible and easy to learn.